Hey up, and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another tune to dive right into, but first let me explain the purpose a bit more. This tune is built for a certain type of drifting, think Formula Drift, but in CarX. The series is called Virtual Drift Series, and this takes place on fully custom maps made by Drew himself. As with Formula Drift, this is about that all-out pace. If you can make your car as quick as humanly possible and couple that with the silky, smooth, accurate driving, you're going to do well. As with the last video, I planned to talk about one aspect of tuning, but as I've now attempted to qualify in 2 rounds of this VDS season, I figured we'd dive into my official qualifying runs instead. Tune in on the next video where I've got an explanation of one of the most controversial and misunderstood parts of tuning for drifting in CarX. It's one you definitely do not want to miss. So the first round I attended was Atlanta. This was round 3 on my calendar, and this round is known for its fast entry down the long hill. Definitely one of my least favourite tracks on the calendar, but I wanted to compete either way, so just decided to send it. An hour before qualifying starts, you get a driver's briefing. This is basically the judges telling you what they want to see for a 100-point qualifying score. I'll put the track layout up on screen now so you can see what it was thereafter. It was at this point I found out this 100-point run included using rumble strips. No wonder I hadn't understood the track from the beginning. I've been driving it wrong the whole time. In practice just before I was feeling much more confident, although I had an aim which was about to come back and bite me hard. On to my first qualifying run. I'd upped my rear tyre pressure to slow the car down a little bit and give me more reaction time, hopefully giving me a better qualifying score. This had kind of worked, but also I think it had made the car too slow. So leaving the start gate, on the run down the hill, I was adamant I wasn't going to pull a handbrake at all because in my opinion it looks fucking disgusting. Instead, I used the left foot brake to slow the car down, but I'd initiated that little bit too late. I had more speed than usual, and this pushed me out that little bit wider than normal, ruining my entire line for the first run. Either way, I finished out the run as best I could and got myself a 72.7. Run 2, I had a moment to sit and think about the next course of action. Unfortunately, I had to use a handbrake, so again, out the gate, down the hill, weight shift initiation into a couple of dabs of the handbrake, since drags would lose points. I was nearly perfectly lined up for inner clip 1, into 2, then into outer zone 1 I was on a bit of a shallower angle. This started to pull me away from the zone, so I threw on a bit more angle to try and correct, but unfortunately this made me drop a tyre and out of zone 2. Either way, finishing this run out nicely, I was happy with my performance. It was a score of 81. I'd done what I turned up to do and set 2 competent scores. Unfortunately, this wasn't enough to get me into the top 32 as the scores increased as more drivers ran. Round 4 was next up. This is my favourite track of the season as well, Irwindale. Again, I'll pop the track map up on screen so you can see what it was the judges were looking for. I was going into this one confident. I knew I was capable of a score in my 90s. Run 1, I'd worked out weight shift initiation can put you into the wall easily, so I went with running parallel to the wall and initiating it at the top of the bank with a dirty great clutch kick. Perfectly on the wall, and it stayed there all the way to a touch and go. Dropping off down the bank nicely into inner clip 1, big flick into outer zone 2. I was being a bit more tentative than normal on this one as I put myself into the wall here a few times in practice that day. Finishing up this run, giving myself a safe-ish score of 81. Run 2, same again, although as I got towards the middle of outer zone 1, the car was starting to drop off a bank. I tried to stop it with some left foot brake, but the damage was already done. It put me on a strange line into inner clip 1, into a transition, and then boom, into the very wall I'd been arguing with in practice. You stupid nothing! The big fat 0. Shame really, because it was shaping up to be another good run. Again, unfortunately my scores weren't good enough to get me into the top 32. This one hurt a little more, as I knew I could put up a fight on this track. With those 2 rounds out of the way, I'm not sure if I'm going to do any more this season. I'd like to build a more competitive car, but that takes a lot of time, including coming up with a new livery. I may just take my time and get ready for next season instead. Now, finally onto this tune. It's definitely not the most competitive, and I dare say it has zero chance of keeping up with the top dogs, but you can sure as hell set an incredible qualifying run as I've showed. Plus, you could put up a good ass fight with the majority of the competition, all whilst having fun, you know, the main factor of drifting. The most difficult part of this tune was definitely getting the right pace out of it. I want to say a huge shout out to Filofsky, I'll drop his links in the description. I've been saying for a long time that speed comes predominantly from gearing, and he showed me this by allowing me to try his VDS Corvette. I then took inspiration from his gearing settings to develop my own. It also requires some fine tuning with the final drive ratio when changing between the faster and slower tracks in the VDS calendar, as well as some toe changes for the bank at Irwindale. This tune also uses Kino engine and gearbox swaps. Although I imagine you could use vanilla engine and gearbox, Kino swaps gives you easy tuning on the fly and a bit more adjustability. Let's throw a tune up on the screen whilst I go send some runs on this season's VDS maps. I'll drop the link for the VDS Discord in the description, you can find the map pack over there. As always, quick disclaimer, this tune suits my driving style and it might not suit yours. I also don't know everything, I'm still learning every day, so if I've missed any vital parts out of this video or even got something wrong, let me know in the comments. I've got a few shout outs. First one goes out to Taco and Yuri for this insane 900 layer livery. Second, Fake Swid for helping me capture this sick picture for the thumbnail. And most of all, a huge shout out to the team over at VDS. The work they've put into this series is second to none, and you realise when you compete. The thing is ran so smooth, it was a pleasure to deal with them all, and big ups to the whole team. And with that, it's over and out. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe and comment below what you'd like to see next on the channel. The next tune I plan to share is my 350Z Team Excite tune. It's a seriously smooth and flowy tune that won't disappoint. Shout out to my patrons Marcus and Luke. If you want to help support me being a full-time streamer and content creator, consider supporting me on Patreon. Links in the description. Until next time, peace out.